Hey, welcome back. So we're gonna start another playthrough of this game. I know one of the viewers, I think it was JB, suggested that I could just swap out the characters, and I think that's all viable and doable, but I actually wanted to just start over anyways, so I'm okay with that. Also, I've watched a few YouTube videos since, and some of the viewer comments have helped me to clarify some of the rules, which are all in the rulebook, but again, it's a 94-page rulebook, and the player aids are near zero. I do really dislike the player aids in this game. The few player aids they do provide great information, but they don't provide the information you need to just play the game properly. Also, one particular viewer stated that the status effect dice don't go away. That is true in some cases, but in the case of days, which was the example they were using, it does go away at the end of the turn. So some of these are temporary, but things like maim stay on you. So it just depends. And but I still appreciate the viewers trying to clarify things. I think the biggest issues, I did release an errata video. Also, there were like when the enemies are targeting, I guess they target only the closest, even if other people are in range. And so I got to verify that before I continue. Also, there's just I think an overall, or what was I going to say? Like sometimes with the way the dice work, and as I was playing, I had drain a little bit wrong, but we got it all right now. So, anyways, I do want to create 4 new characters, and getting to my original point, I've been watching some YouTube videos, and I think they misrepresent this game. This game does have dozens and dozens of campaign missions, and that part I'm not going to disagree with, but what I am not positive about is, are they actually any different? I mean, we're drawing the same cards, we're doing the same dungeon delves, we're doing the same stuff. So I don't know how different they really are. I know you can argue, hey, you got thousands of permutations and possibilities, but they all play the same, so that's sort of a misleading fact. And I feel like this game has a bit of that going on. The other part of it is if you go through all the skills that are in the game, there are literally only 5 that are viable for doing damage and starting off your character. So those are one-handed, two-handed bow, destruction staff, which I can pull out, and then the 5th one was the summoning, which I tried. The summoning was horrible. The only good die in this was the expert summoner, and they only give you 1, and it misses 50% of the time. It was horrible. The warden class, though, was not bad, because the bear in the warden class was pretty good. But with all that said, I just think the summoner could have been better. And the issue is how do you get through armor? The armor was just way too high throughout the whole mission. And most of the summons couldn't even do a single point of damage. The bear was the only one that was able to. And of course, that one die I was just pointing out allowed them to temporarily do damage. But it requires a whole lot of finagling. The issue with the warden class, the bear, of course, takes 5 tenacity. The living vines is 3, and it's enduring, meaning you don't have to spend them, but you need at least 3. And then the bear would heal itself for 1 if it took damage, which helps the bear to stay alive a little bit longer. The problem is you're spending 5 to summon the bear, then you somehow need to get 3. And the one thing I wanted to point out, because I'm concluding that the summoning skill line is horrible. Like the designers, what were they thinking? The archer can do damage in 1 million people all at once. And then we ended up finding out we were playing it wrong, and we were actually hurting ourselves, and the archer does even more damage. Meanwhile, the summoner is just begging somebody to take 1 single point of damage, which is horrible. That is a horrible design. The 2 skill lines side by side don't even compare. I mean, you can argue that the summoner is putting creatures out there to absorb hits, which is theoretically, yes, That's a thing. And maybe I'm going to feel the pain of not having summons on the board. When the enemy starts doing hits, they're going to be going after us instead of the summons. Whereas those summons, they absorb 2-3 hits, and that's 2 or 3 hits we didn't have to absorb, and it allowed us to focus on killing them. Maybe that's the power of the summon, is you're just basically just throwing out cannon fodder to take hits. But with that said, there is one class that if you do want to do a summoner at home, it's the Imperial class. Once per battle, when you would be dealt 3 damage or less, prevent that damage and instead gain that much tenacity. And they start with a decent amount of magic and stamina. I mean, they're really just a lot of health and average across the board. But I think the Imperial class is actually really good for a summoner because the tenacity is what you need. You need a way to generate tenacity while you're playing. So you can go with the Warden class, and you can even do the Daedric summoning line if you really insist on it. And then, like I'm saying, then you can complement the tenacity loss because you're spending tenacity to summon that bear. Well, you can get 3 tenacity back just from going up and doing face to fist style and using your face against their fist, right? As long as you take 3 or less damage, you get that 3 tenacity, and now your bear is going to be able to heal himself. So it's a pretty cool combo. One that, I wasn't smart enough to figure out when we first designed our characters, but I do think that would be more ideal. Now, a strong argument can be made, hey, Jeff, you're right. The Daedric summoning is not that great, but it's at least decent, especially from the cannon fodder angle. But the thing that you missed is you should have taken Destructive Staff with it. And you know what? That might be the answer. I should have taken Destructive Staff. I could have taken the Daedric summoning with it. And then the two together, I'm summoning some creatures. I'm still able to do some massive damage. And all of it is magic, magic, magic. And, and then I'm using my tenacity to do what I need to do. It's not wrong. That's not wrong at all. And so maybe that's the thing. But that gets to the second deception that these YouTubers are doing. And that is they're telling you that there's a whole bunch of class skill lines to choose from. And oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless. But at the end of the day, you have... Let me grab the skill. It's in here somewhere. My apologies. I should have grabbed it before I started. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every character needs to have those 4 classes. Always. So this game has basically 4 classes in the game, and that's it. Everything else is just... And let's go through it, right? I'll prove it. Summoning. We just agreed that by itself it's not good enough. But with the staff, it's pretty good, right? Illusion. It doesn't do any damage, but it does do some cool debuffing and, trickery. It's actually a lot like the summoning in that you can use dice to absorb hits, right? Because they go and chase after ghosts and imaginary things, right? That's not a primary class to start with. And I'm using the word class, it's not the primary skill line, right? But you can enhance with this. Oh, that's a primary. Speech. We determined those dice drain. You get to, at most, affect 1 creature on the board. But it's pretty good. It's just not a primary. That's a primary. That's a primary. That doesn't even do damage, but it's a great skill set. It just complements a primary. This one, I'm hoping to try this time around. It looks like a great skill set, but it's not a primary. It doesn't do any damage. It prevents damage. It's like an armor in a way. Acrobatics gives you extra movement points. Like, this wasn't bad. I think the mistake I made is I made a character that only did this, and maybe that was wrong. But the Restoring Light was fairly good. But yeah, it doesn't do damage. Another Magicka, light armor, doesn't do damage. Oh, we're at the end. Now we're repeating. So, Ledger Domain that lets you pick locks. So, I think you can see here, we just went through all the skills. You have 4 classes. or 4 skill lines that you're going to start every game with. And the game gave you no other skill lines to choose from. None. I mean, you could argue that the summoner one was one. So, getting back to the gist of the matter, it's, since you have these 4, what are you going to do? Right? Like, you can give speech to one, and the one thing about the destructive staff one is the Magicka ones, there's some really cool sidelines. Like I thought the Arcana one, you know, that does all the illusion stuff was really good. We just talked about how this plus the summoning could pair together well. This plus the healing can pair together well. Just give your healer the ability to do some damage, but at the same time, he can also heal. I mean, that's fantastic. There's also the light armor. There was a lot of Magicka stuff that goes well with the destruction staff, but you've got to have the destruction staff. The bow was our MVP of the last game. Why would you ever go without a bow is the question. And then we never tried the two-hander because we did a summoner last time. And then we did the one-hand and shield, which was fairly decent. It definitely did damage, but I think the fact that we chose the Nord helped it to be more powerful than it was. But that's it. The game comes with 4 classes, and every time you start a game, you're going to pick these 4. And that's, I think, my gripe at the moment. Now, I will say, one thought that's gone through my head was, okay, if I do destruction staff, which is this, you can see here, these are level 1 skill dice, right? Level 1, level 1, level 1, level 1. Here's 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and 4, right? So there's only one level 4 of the destruction staff. There's a whole bunch of level 1s, so theoretically, I can start the game with 2 people that has destruction staff. And you can see it does 2 damage, 4 damage, but 1 to somebody else. And then gain tenacity and deal damage. But the point, though, is 3, 4, 5 of the dice will do damage in some capacity, although some of it might, damage you back. So then when you get to level 2, there's 4 of those dice. And remember, you can't, there's only, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 6 dice in a skill line. And we already confirmed through Board Game Geek that you can't ever have more than 6. So you can't have your skill line go to a second line. It has to just be on the first line. So you're limited to 6 and only 6 dice. So if I want to take all 4 of these, then I can only take a level 2 and a level 3, and I can't even get to level 4. Right? Because you always have to have one of the previous level to get to the next level. So at minimum, if I want to go to level 4, that's 4 of my 6 dice, and then I can only duplicate one of these other ones. So we have the Wall of Elements, which you can see is a drain. Apply a daze status to 2 enemies in range. That is a horrible one. Apply a maim status is decent. Maim is good. Apply a fear status and deal 1 true damage to any one adventure. That's horrible. This Wall of Elements sucks. Destructive Touch looks way better, and there's 2 of them. It's flat out defeat somebody, so that's pretty interesting, I guess. And then we get to level 3. There's 1 Pulsar, 1 Elemental Drain, and 1 Elemental Rage. So there's 3 choices at level 3. And then at level 4, you only got 1 die, this one. So for each of your available Magicka type skill dice, do your target 1 damage and heal for 1. So that's not a bad one at all, although it's not true damage. But long story short, you could get away, because there's enough dice here, you could get away with creating 2 Arcana characters. 2 of them use level 1 dice, and the other one uses 2 level 1 dice, right? And then when you get to level 2, they're both each taking 2, right? And then at level 3, they're probably only going to take 1 each, and then only one of them is actually going to go to level 4. So that means the other one can either double up on level 2 or take the other level 3, right? So they could take their 6 dice still. And then they could, so now you could have one person that goes down the healing path or the other one goes down the Arcana path, or whatever you want to do. So while I tell you that there's still only 4 choices, you could double up on those 4 choices, and then you still have 2 Magicka characters like I did. It's just that they're both going to start with Destructive Staff. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I haven't played it enough to tell you if that's good or bad. And I can tell you that the one hand and shield, I can probably take it or leave it right now. I didn't feel like it was that good, although we were starting to get some nice combos going near the end. So I have this like constant belief that I need to have healing in a game like this. And by taking the Destructive Staff, then am I obligating myself to take healing? Or do I just take the healer class? Because remember, there's these classes too, or as well. And again, still not sure. But what I did was I created a character. And by the way, this is the new deluxe map that came with the game. Look at how big this thing is. So we got the map over here. These tiles, they technically go here, like this. And then you got your spots for your 4 players. And then I'm covering up these 2 spots. I already, look, you even got these little designated circles so I can put my chips that I need to grab from over here. I got my skill dice over here on the left. And there's technically room for skill dice up there, but that's a far reach for me, so I just put them down here. And then, yeah, I'm creating my character. So what I did was I created I really like the High Elf because of the 4 Magicka. And then I chose the Destructive Staff, big surprise, and I went with the Arcanist, which is a Valenwood expansion one. And the Arcanist uses these fluorescent green symbols, and they're called Crux. And so she earns them and then spends them to do damage or to do different things. So she's going to be a very high damage dealer. And then, yes, I could still take the healing, which actually was the plan, to take the healing to go with it. So she can do a lot of damage and she could still help with healing. And she's just going to be a high Magicka output person. Okay, so with that said, the High Elf to me is still a fantastic Magicka class. All across the board. The only weakness of the High Elf is they come with 1 combat die. So from a defensive perspective, they don't have the ability to roll a lot of defensive dice. So you could argue that that's where the light armor comes in. So she should take a light armor skill because that'll help her to defend herself better. And that's a great option as well. And actually, I'm thinking I want to do all 3, right? I want to do light armor, destruction, and the light healing class. So that's my plan, is to do all 3. Now, how would I do all 3? Well, obviously the destruction would be the bottom row. And then you got the health row at the top, which will have the... then you have the stamina row, which will never grow. And then you have the Magicka row. So in the Magicka row, I'm going to put the combat die. And then in the health row, maybe I'm going to do it the other way around. I might put the health die in the combat row. But the light skill will go in where the stamina is. And actually the armor is going to go where the health is. So the Magicka row will get the combat die. So I want to have a lot of Magicka and, of course, a lot of ability to refresh my cooldown. Okay, so that's done. I stuck with High Elf. I really like that particular race, and we're going to try a new class and actually a new skill line. The Khajiit is almost impossible to argue against. The free lockpick and then move around was really good. The 3 stamina is the best in the game. There's several others that do 3 stamina, though. It's not the only one. But from an archer perspective, that's a really good class. The Nord, I thought, was decent. It was able to do, for 1 turn, a massive amount of damage. But the 4 health was a limiting factor, especially when it was my sword and shield guy. The 3 combat dice is not horrible. I would do it again. I just, the Breton, the overtax ability, if this was not once per combat, I would love it. But since it's once per combat, I don't love it. Although I did have that one armor that blocked all damage, and so once per combat, I could block all damage. That was decent. The fact that it was a lot of health and magicka makes it a good, secondary healing class or a hybrid class. I probably wouldn't do that one again. The Imperial, I already told you, for the summoning. I think that is a good, or if you just need a lot of tenacity in general, that's a decent one. But here's the one. So Argonian lets you block all damage once per battle. Well, that's the same as the Breton one, and this time you got 5 health and 3 stamina. So Argonians are just all around better than the Bretons. And I think anybody who lives near Britain would agree. And then we have the Dark Elf, which thematically is not interesting to me. And then skill-wise, it's not interesting either. Once per battle, recover 4 skill dice from your cooldown track, replacing each with light fatigue. So basically, you get this rapid cooldown. Once per battle, you can just bring back 4 dice, so you can attack again or do whatever. And you can see it's like a hybridish magicka type class. Not my cup of tea. So that one's definitely out. And then another really interesting choice is the Orc. They are the only ones in the game that start with 3 cooldown. Everything else is mediocre or average. This is definitely mediocre. But once per battle, they get to take another turn. They have to do an over fatigue, but they get to take another turn, which means another turn means they get to do another cooldown step. Whereas you can always take multiple turns, which lets you add light fatigue, but you don't get a cooldown step when you do that. So in this case, you can take another turn, get a cooldown step, and you don't actually gain light fatigue, but you do gain an over fatigue, which is worse. But it's a very interesting character, and I could see some. You definitely have to, like, the cooldown's already a 3, so you're going to get 3 dice back every time you do that, and you get that stamina up or the magic up. Depending. The only thing that's weird about it is an orc with a lot of magic. I mean, I know World of Warcraft did that too, but it doesn't make any sense. It's not thematic. People try too hard. And then the last one is the Wood Elf, which you can see applies a stealth status die. What a stealth does is nobody can target you unless they started their turn next to you. So only your hand-to-hand characters that are next to an enemy at the start of the enemy's turn can be targeted. So that saves people like, your archer. If they have stealth on them, then you can apply the stealth up to 2 party members in play. So basically, it's like you're protecting 2 other party members, helping them to hide. And it could be yourself. So this would be a great one as an archer, right? So if you're willing to give up the lockpicking ability, as an archer, you can take this one, and you can see it has the 3 stamina, just like a good archer would, and then 5 health, which is actually better than the Khajiit. And this is the same, and that's the same. So the Wood Elf is definitely like an archer class type. So what am I going to do for the rest of it? Well, I think I do want to create another one-hand and shield, a 2-hander, and a bow. That's for sure. I was contemplating doing 2 bows and getting rid of the hand and shield just because the bow is just that good. And the other ones are just that not good. That's the problem. I don't know. I would love to sit with the designers and ask them when they did their playtesting how they felt these were balanced, but they're not. They're not balanced, not even in the slightest. But I'm wondering, though, if maybe if we fight more difficult creatures, that these other classes might have skills like true damage, for example. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to decipher. In Too Many Bones, true damage was a big deal. And some characters, I can't remember the name of him, he had this like sword, and he can do true damage with his sword. And that guy was like MVP for certain bosses in certain battles. Because if you couldn't do true damage, then you couldn't even touch these guys. So anyways, those are my thoughts. And yeah, I got to finish creating these characters. And we are going to do High Rock, by the way. So you guys watch all these YouTube videos that do Black Marsh, Black Marsh, Black Marsh. And it's just like a Brady Bunch episode. Black Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. we will do a new one. So you finally get to see something different. And my only other caveat here is I am playing this game multiplayer on March 4th. And today is February 23rd. So I only have a couple weeks to get through this. And I do have distractions and other things going on with my work and other things. So I'm going to see what I can do. But anyways, let me pause, make my decisions for everybody else, and then we can come back and talk about what we're going to do. Okay, I got this done. So we have our one-handed Nord. I basically built the same character we had last time. He's still a knight as well. The mat is nice, but from a solo playing perspective, those are way too far away. So I'm probably going to do something about it. Like I said, I have the Arcanist High Elf. And then I have a Wood Elf Archer. So we went with an Archer just like before, but we ditched the Khajiit and went for the Wood Elf. And then we have an Argonian Ranger, which is our two-hander. So, like I said, I probably need to just to give you perspective. So I'm sitting here. I have this in front of me. I have that in front of me. Very easy to reach both of those. Those are like over in Canada. And they're not nice to us anymore, the Canadians. So we can't like, just take that for granted anymore. So I might start moving at least some pieces of it closer. We'll see. But for now, I leave it where it is. And then you can see I have my hit points for everything. All right, so here's what I've done. I've had to go through, because remember, you're supposed to take 4 generic cards along with all the, I had to take out all the Black Marsh cards and replace them with High Rock. Same with this one, 4 generic, take out the Black Marsh and replace them with High Rock. And then back here, all the generics and replace the Black Marsh with High Rock. Everything else was just a standard shuffle, and then of course these are just here for me, and I just have these down here along the side. And then when I do this, I always have a shelf here. I don't always show this to you guys, but this is where I will store stuff if I need to pull it out. Like I can, for example, put those bags down in here, so that way they're not taking up table space so badly. I also have a chair to my left, which has a lot of garbage that needs to be thrown away. So I could take, for example, these tiles, put them down here, which then frees up some space so I can bring a character closer towards me. And then over to my right are all the manuals, rule books, stuff like that. My camera, which of course, or my computer that I'm doing my recording. And then I have all my stuff propped up over here. Good to go. This thing is definitely a table hog. But okay, so what do we need to do to get started? Well, let me go through our checklist. So we set up the overland map, set up dice chips, enemy chips. I did go through all the enemy chips. There's basically 2 enemy chips in each bag that are unique for each region. 2 that are level 1 and 5, and 2 that are level 10 and 20. So I took care of that. I actually added all of the generic enemy chips from the whatchamacallit, the expansion pack. Why am I drawing a blank? What's it called? Valenwood. The Valenwood expansion. All right, we did the item decks. We have the Delve deck. XP and Daydile are both set to 1. If we choose not to play the jailbreak encounter, set it to 2. So the party's experience needs to be set to 2. So we will do that right now. And then, regardless, the day dial will be unset until later. Then, first session, continuing, set up the guild quest. Okay, yeah. So now we gotta do this and then pick 3, right? So shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And I'm gonna draw from the bottom, so I can't see what's up on the top. So we have from the bottom, the Thieves Guild, the Mages Guild, and the Circle of Champions. And then the bonus for these, this one for your Guild Kiosk Town action, search the deck and get the first item or armor, and then shuffle the deck, and you gain it. That's not horrible. Now that I've played it once, I wasn't a big fan of it initially. For your Guild Kiosk Town action, discard one potion, or that's the enchantment. Remember I was saying there's no enchantment in the rulebook? It's because that's the enchantment. To train any Magicka type skill line from the trainer bag. So not horrible if you want to get some specific Magicka skill lines, right? And then the Thieves Guild, continent spanning association of criminals dedicated to the thief and I'm on the wrong side, aren't I? Yes. For your Guild Kiosk Town action, discard an item to train a rogue type skill line from the trainer bag. And that's it. Okay, so I got it open here. The overland mechanics is different for High Rock. Remember the last one had the rains and the floods? So let's figure out what this is. So, having endured centuries of strife between the Bretons and the Orcs, at the start of the session, place a book token on the 0 on the unrest track on the overland map. All right, so I know it's off map here. I'm bringing it a little bit closer so we can look at it a little bit better. So there's this unrest track here, and they're just saying to put a book on the peaceful part. And of course that's going to probably be changing as we go through various things. And this of course is our party token. So we'll get that out in a second. So, and then the unrest is defined by the following ranges. The effects of unrest are primarily felt in the encounters and determine the strength of the enemy skill, the native in sight. So that increases unrest by 1, 2, and decrease by 1. Certain effects encounters increase or decrease unrest. Immediately upon completion of a side quest, the party may choose to decrease unrest by 5, minus the party members, which in our case is going to be 4, which makes it 1 total. Unrest cannot go below 0 and cannot increase above 9. So, insight. After this unit is defeated, all allied units heal for hit points equal to the current unrest. That could be pretty brutal. Then the delve feature. Multiple delve cards include the word swarmed. No function on its own, but various effects can impact the delve tiles. Okay, so be it. All right, now with the 3 quests that we have here, I have section A. I am just trying to get to the right section here. I was on section C at first. Okay, so we have the Mages Guild, which is A1. And this one is complexity of 3. Fight several clashes as you travel to different landmarks around the map. So a clash, of course, is the easiest type of battle. Okay, that's the mage one. Then we have Thieves, which is the very next one down. Complexity of 3. Retrieve an artifact from a dungeon, then travel to a city and fight a clash as you are chased by an entity that grows more powerful as unrest rises. That could be pretty ominous. There's special setup instructions for this one. And then there's, what do we see? The Circle of Champions, which is neither of those. Outer Watch. Circle of Champions. Complete 3 clashes that get harder as unrest rises. And then there's special setup instructions for this one as well. All right, so I got to make some choices here. So the Circle of Champions one, it looks like I'm going to have some fighters. They're going to be temporary companions with me on each of the clashes. That's pretty interesting. The Thieves Guild sounds like the most fun. Going into a dungeon, taking an item, and then getting it back to town. Always a fun time. We've never done a dungeon before, so that would be interesting. And then the Mages Guild one, like, I'm not a big fan of the Thieves Guild skill. If anything, out of all these skills, the Circle of Champions one is the best. This one does let me get a Magicka skill line, which, you know, maybe that's going to be hard to do in our game. But once you get so many Magicka skill lines, you don't need to do this ever again, whereas this is something you can use all the time. So I guess I'm going to do... Part of me is like, I want to do Circle of Champions just because that skill, that ability is better than these two. Although, okay, so it says discard an item to train any shadow or rogue type. Well, I do want to get the shadow rogue type. And so it's possible that, wait, it seems like it's not focusing well at all, doesn't it? Like, that's focused perfectly. That's all blurry as all get out. What's going on? It's like the autofocus on this is just dead. All right, anyways, so in terms of like what sounds the funnest, this one sounds the most fun. This one with the companions helping you would be sort of cool. Although, just so you know, I read the quest has you discarding items based on how much unrest there is. And then this one just seems like a steady Eddie. Not bad, but I mean, I guess both of these, once you get the skill lines you're looking for, there's not much left to worry about. Like, I want to get the ledger domain since I don't have a good lockpicker in my party. So maybe this one would work. And I'm trying to justify why I would take the one I want to take. Or I just want a challenge. So let's do it, right? Because maybe I'm overthinking this. The complexity of this one is just a 1. That's a 1 complexity. So remember, complexity of 1 is not necessarily that it's easier to win, but there's just less moving mechanics involved. I'm going to do the Thieves Guild one. Let's do it. You only live once, right? So let's go hard. We'll get rid of these. For a while, this is going to be useful. So I will just put this off to the side. And so the Thieves Guild one says, there are instructions for this one. Okay, so we're going to retrieve an artifact. So tavern hums with conversation as your broker takes a seat at the table behind you. We have a request from an official in the Mages Guild to retrieve an artifact, a black gauntlet, to be precise. He says it's supposed to be in the Doomcrag. You pause for a moment. Once an old eyelid tower, the Doomcrag has developed a reputation as one of the most dangerous spots in High Rock. Until recently, the cursed ruin housed a deadly relic called the Lightless Remnant, but after a misadventure resulted in the remnant's removal, other bands of daring treasure hunters have been braving the site in search of magic items yet left behind. You wonder aloud why this mage hasn't assigned one of his own guild members to the task, or even hired the undaunted. It's obvious, isn't it? The broker says this is for personal use, off the books. We're not called the Rightful Owners Guild. I do like that. That's funny. All right. So our starting location, it says, is Wayrest. So I see Wayrest right away. We start right here in the middle of the map. Okay, then it says, set aside quest units, Iodex Ovidius and Watcher. Now, what that's referring to are the white poker chips that I have here. So if I take these out and move them all over to there. So there's there's Chief Duskill, Cursebreaker Desalandra, and which ones do I need? I need Ovidius and Watcher. And yes, you got to go through all of them. And they're double-sized. So there's Ovidius right there. And Dreamweaver. I got that song going in my head now. Dreamweaver. Desalandra. There's a lot of Desalandras in here. Morag. Big the Bloody. Pale Fingers. I'm just going to pull them out. This is, that's not a quest guy. That's one of the summons, right? And so is that one. Or Desalandra. Here we go. There's a Watcher right there. So we put the rest back in. And so basically you got these special quest guys. Because remember, a lot of the skills in this game don't let you damage quest people. And that would be these two. So it's probably going to be a while before we see these. So I'm just going to set them off to the side. Then it's basically telling us we need to travel to Doomcrag, initiate the Doomcrag dungeon. It must be done before the end of day 6 or the quest has failed. During this dungeon, each time a party member defeats an enemy, increase unrest by 1. The item cache is the gauntlet. After an adventurer successfully performs a lockpick check on the gauntlet, their turn in the round immediately ends and the gauntlet is placed under the character chip above their hit points. If the lockpick check is unsuccessful, it's not removed. Once an adventurer has picked up the gauntlet, proceed to quest B7 without ending the current encounter. So even while we're in the dungeon, we're moving to B7, and we got to do this by day 6, which sort of sucks because, well, maybe that's not the whole first session, but you want 12 days to do a session, right? And they just cut it in half. Okay, so what is the crag? The Doomcrag. How far away is it? How much can we meander on our way there? That's the question at hand. And let's look. Bring the camera up. So this is the whole thing. I don't know how well you guys can see it. I'm trying to look through the camera. It looks semi good. So we'll zoom in here. So we'll look up the right side there. I don't see Doomcrag. Still looking. So then I move towards the middle. I see it. Doomcrag is right here. That thing. And we're here. So we just got to meander that way. It's doable. Very, very doable. We don't have flooding or anything to hurt us as much. So we always move 2 spaces. Or no, we can move 3. I got to go check that up again. But I have the ranger with us, and the ranger says that we can move another 1 space. So we have a lot of movement points now. The ranger's probably more helpful in the Black Marsh with the stuff going on there, but yeah. Okay, so we are going to play Adept difficulty again. So we remove 1 die from the cooldown track at the end of the day, and we heal for 1. So I'm okay with that. And then I thought the Gazetteer told us how much movement we had, but I could be wrong. All right. So remember, our first day, we don't get to go anywhere. We have to stop at the town. So I will do that to resolve day 1. And let's put it on day 1 right now. Or no, we resolve the town, and then, yeah, let me just check. See, it's been like 3 weeks since I recorded this game, and I'm already forgetting the rules. And oh boy, it would be nice if I had a player aid that told me these things. Okay, yes, day one is you spend the day in whatever town you're assigned to. So we will do that in a second. And then the other thing I looked up is somebody in the comments with my last playthrough said that the enemies target whoever's closest. And that's not true at all. It says that they target whatever their dial or their chip says. So if their chip says that they're targeting the person with the most hit points, for example, that's who they target. And they would target that person even if they're further away. And now the question, though, is would they move to target somebody with the most hit points? And that's an interesting question because, again, the rules are a little wonky on that one because it says, let me get to the battles here. Whenever you're doing the enemy turn, of course I lost the page, it says move the enemy 2 hexes. The enemy moves only if there are no targetable units in range. If the enemy must move, etc. So I think maybe that's what the viewer was mentioning. And here, I'll show you right here. They only move if there are no targetable units in range. So I was looking at the chip and saying, okay, they're going after whoever has the most hit points. So then I was going to move them 1 to 2 spaces so they can go after anybody on the board who has the most hit points. So what the viewer's trying to say is that was wrong, and I think I'm agreeing with them now. This says that they only move if there's no targetable units. So what that means is even if there's somebody so let's say that they want to go after whoever has the most hit points, but the guy with the least hit points is currently in targetable range without moving at all. It's going to shoot at that person and not move because the rule here for move says they only move if there's no targetable units. And I was doing that slightly wrong. I don't know why they wrote the rule that way, but they did. And so good catch to whatever viewer mentioned that. And then basically we are in the town of, I already lost my place. What town are we in? Wayrest. So let me pull that town up. I think they're in alphabetical order, which helps. All right, so here we go. We have the town of Wayrest. Gonna zoom it out as much as I can. Suspicious of outsiders. If the unrest level is at dangerous or higher, adventurers have 1 fewer action this encounter. Well, we're at 0, so we're fine there. So there's 3 common items. So we got ourselves 3 common items here. And 2 legendary. Which I'm going to put over here on the left. We have 5 trainers available of all 3 types. This is really good because we had towns where it'd only be like 1 or 2 trainers. So we got 5 of them. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, we've got some pretty decent skills up. Okay, so we got 5 of those. We have a quest board, the inn, nobody needs to heal. The guard kiosk, of course, is our little guard skill thing. And then we have a town square item, or task. Set sail. So group means the whole group has to spend an action to do this. At the end of the day, move the party token to Morkel, Stronghold, or Daggerfall. You must spend your next day in that town. So Daggerfall is way over here on the left, and Morkel Stronghold is up there near the top. That's going to be an interesting one because I would like to see what those towns do. Maybe it's worth doing because in the beginning you want to gear up and stuff like that. I understand we're not getting experience points and whatnot, but we do have to get to where we need to go by day 6. So I got to bear that in mind. And remember, I'm taking the night, so getting a quest is good for the night. But let's think about what we're going to do here. So the first one is there is a weapon. This is a magicka weapon. So I After rolling this engage, you may reroll any one skill die. You may choose whether to overtax this weapon after rolling. Set any 2 skill dice to the size of your choice. Now, this is only helpful to the Nord, because the Nord gets bonuses for having that symbol. This symbol does not need to match. So what that symbol means is that the Nord can't use it unless he's in Magicka form. So only the person in Magicka form could even use this weapon. It's, it's okay. It does let you re-roll a skill die, so you could say, like in the case of the Summoner, I had that one die I really wanted to get a hit on. I could have re-rolled it with this. So it's not horrible for a Magicka user to use, but I could give it to the Nord, which boosts his bonus ability. So that's one option. And in fact, with the Nord, I'm going to take this one. So that's one item for him. Moving on, we have food, 2 forms of food here. We have fondue, and we have pigs in a blanket. You can discard to get things. Remove a collective total of 4 hit point chips from any beast in an adventure ready slot. Why somebody would have a beast in an adventure ready slot, I have no idea. That's not a beast symbol, that's a paw symbol, whatever a paw symbol is. I don't know of any paws in an adventure ready slot. But anyways, what is the paw? I don't know. Do I have anything that says what the symbols are? I don't think I do. I don't know what a paw symbol is, but I'll let you look at it there. It looks like a wolf's paw or something. I'm just looking to see, is that a status effect? Nope, it's not. All right, so then the fondue lets you gain a bunch of tenacity. Or a lot of people can get tenacity. So these are items we can just discard, because remember, some skills let you gain stuff for discarding items. Then for the legendary items, we have the Berserker Medallion. If this item is right side up, you may flip it upside down to take 1 free turn after your current turn ends. If your adventure is defeated while this item is upside down, flip it right side up. All right, that's pretty cool. Caramelized goat nibbles. Discard this item, heal a targetable level 1 to 5 beast companion or enemy to full hit points. That enemy becomes a companion controlled by you for the rest of the battle. So you can get an enemy to come to your side. All items worth taking if I don't have anything else to do. The question is am I going to, go by ship? That's a good question. So unfortunately, I have to remove things from the town. So the first one was Daggerfall. Because we have the extra movement point, all these are doable. And then Morkel. So here's the Morkel Stronghold first. So we would get 3 in 1. 3 trainers. The quest board is closed. Kiosk is active. It's the unrest level. You can make a social check. And then you can set sail again. And this time it could go to Evermore or to Daggerfall. Evermore being... Where is Evermore? Okay, Evermore is right here next to where we started. Right there. Okay, so I don't think that's worth going to. And the other one was Daggerfall. Daggerfall's more interesting. Has 4 commons, 1 legendary, 5 trainers, First time a Breton, Orc, or Red Guard adventurer takes a quest board town action, they may keep both quests. I don't have any of those 3 classes or races. Okay, so I'm gonna just stay where we are and we'll make it work from there. So we are doing way rest. All right, first things first. Let's get the camera ready. I'm not a fan of the acrobat skill. These 2 though are nice. So we got the light armor, and then this one is the illusion or arcana or whatever. I think I would prefer to have like a healing one than that one. But maybe the light armor though for sure looks good. And then this one, our bow person is going to take this for stealth. So I'm going to give that to the bow, and I'm going to put it in the row with the magicka right there. And gotta get that out. So yeah, illusion is the one that is available. Light armor. And we just picked up shadow. I know for sure we're not going to take another bow, so I'm going to put that back in the bag. Okay, so the shadow. Why did I want this so bad? Well, you gain a stealth status die. We talked about that during character creation. Okay, so I stopped and restarted the camera, and now it looks perfect. I mean, this was very, very fuzzy through my camera, and now I can read that perfectly through the camera screen. So I don't know what was going on and why it wasn't focusing well, but now it is. So anyways, for 3 sides, gain a stealth. Obviously, when you gain an enemy, you may exhaust this die to ignore a certain amount of defense on the target, which is fantastic. That's the reason why I thought the shadow was very, very cool. In fact, there's a part of me that's thinking maybe I should give this to my sword and shield guy. Because as much as I keep thinking, okay, you're a paladin type, I mean, I can make my sword and shield guy like a rogue with a buckler and a dagger. It is a possibility you'll gain a light fatigue, but you still gain a stealth. And then, so that's 2 of them at level 1 that do that. And then 1 of them at level 1, you gain a bonus hit point for each unit affected by a stealth status die. And then remove up to 2 light fatigue from your cooldown track for each unit affected by a stealth status die. So the reason why this can be helpful is I have the wood elf that gives out stealth status dice. So this can be a really good thing. Now, when you gain a skill like this, you don't gain dice. You have to gain the dice through leveling up. So we'll have to choose our dice then. But and then it just gets better with some, and we'll make those choices as time goes on. But the stealth one, or the shadow, has always interested me, and it looks like it's going to be very fun to play. I think that's something we missed out on last time. Okay, next up is we have the light armor, which I'm very strongly considering right now. So at level 1, once per move action, you may reduce this die to add your magicka to your stamina. So that just lets you move more spaces. I'm not sure I even care. Although stamina is usually low, it's only a 2. It can be helpful, but spell warding. When engaged by an enemy, you may reduce this die by any number of dice, or any number to prevent 1 damage. And then you may then recover a single magicka type skill die equal in level to the value by which you reduce this die. So that's pretty cool. Evocation, increase a different light armor die in the adventurer's active slot by 1. When engaging any battle from other than magicka, reduce this die by 1 to reroll any, blah, blah, blah. So very much going to do that. I think I'm going to take that for our Magicka character. So I'm just going to set this off to the side. Then the question is am I also taking illusion? We did this before, and it was actually pretty effective. It was able to, you can see here, place it in range. When an enemy would target you, you can teleport to that die. Or down here, you can place it with a hit point chip. And then enemies treat the die as an adventurer. And basically, it's a single hit point illusion. And the enemies will go and attack it instead of you, which is just as good as the summons. Now, the problem is I wanted to get the restoration light, which would let me heal. If I'm taking 2 skill lines, I'm really not allowing that to happen. I have room for this. I mean, I could put it with my hit points. No, I really don't have the room for all these skill. So it's either this or the restoration. That's the thing. If I don't take restoration, then how am I going to heal? It's going to be a lot more difficult. So I think I'm going to have to pass on illusion. Although it does seem neat. The other thing I could do is I could pass on the light armor and do illusion instead of light armor. That actually is an option as well. We did this last time. It was effective. The light armor does seem cool. Let me look at the light armor a little closer. This prevents true damage. You can heal additional step during rest. You know what? I'm going to take illusion and leave the light armor on the table. We're going to take illusion instead. I do think it's powerful to have fake little summons on the board for them to go target. So we're going to pass on the light armor, and we're going to pass on the acrobatics as well. At least I think we are. I think we have enough skills to take other stuff. All right, so High Elf has taken 1. The bow's taken 1. Our 2-hander guy has not taken 1 yet. And so he's going to take the Berserker Medallion and add that to his. Now, unfortunately, his spot for the items is right here, which happens to be where the camera and everything else sits. So that might get bumped around a lot, but that's what we're going to do. And so you can see we have 1, 2, 3 items left. Everybody's taken at least 1 action. The knight is going to take a quest. So we're going to grab 2 quest items. And his skill thing says, after the party gains a side quest, heal to full hit points or gain 3 tenacity. So he's going to take 3 tenacity just for taking the quest. Well, actually, anybody can take the quest. It doesn't have to be him. So we're going to have the 2-hander do this. Oh, never mind. I thought we had the skill where I could use the guild kiosk to grab an item or something. So anyways, he'll do a quest. And these are long. I wish they weren't so long-winded. If you already have Folkreath Meatloaf in the inventory, discard this and draw a new one. We don't. Travel to any peaceful landmark. Search the deck and gain Folkreath Meatloaf. If you have Folkreath Meatloaf, discard it, complete the quest, and gain 1 experience to the day's reward phase. And each person gets an item. That's not horrible. This one, after a party member defeats a non-quest enemy with enemy skill native, you may choose to place it on this card instead. After 3 enemies have been placed on this card during the next reward phase, consult the following results based on those enemies' level values. So if I got 41 plus level values, Each venture may gain 5 tenacity or promote their class to master. That's really cool, but I want experience points right now, so we're going to take this one, put that one back. All right, and then we have 3 characters left, and there's 3 items left, so we're going to just take 3 more items and then call it a day. All right, so this is where I got to organize my table better. As much as the board is cool, you can see that this guy's items is right where my camera goes. This guy's items is buried over here amongst all this other stuff. So we have the shadow and the bow, which technically go there. And then we have, goat nibbles. And then we have the pigs in a blanket and the fondue. So I'm going to go ahead and do the fondue here. And this weapon, along with that there, like so. And I think I am going to execute my idea. So, my idea is I'm going to move the tray out of the way and set it off to the side and just grab it as I need it. Because this guy is buried up in the corner. And you don't put baby in a corner. So we're going to move the skills up. We're going to move this up to be a little closer. And then this I don't need as much, but we'll just slide it down to the edge like that. So a little bit more feasible. And then I'm going to do the same thing. And then here you can see his items. I mean, we're sort of at the edge of the board, but we're okay. I'm going to do the same thing with the Nord. I'm going to move his stuff up, the items to here. These 2 are going to be right here. And then we're just going to slide this so it's a little bit closer and within reach. Now, when I'm done with this, I just move this forward like that. And it doesn't go all the way off the table. I mean, I could get it to go all the way. But the point, though, is I still think there's plenty of room here for our dungeon or whatever we need to do. So with that being said, we got our items a little bit more within reach for me. It also lets me do stuff like this, where I can now put everybody's hit points where it belongs. This can stay within reach, and everything's looking good now. All right, so this skill, I do probably want to use this a lot. The light skill I probably want to use even more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one. I'm going to put this one with the healing, the health, and then the other one we'll put with the stamina. I gotta think this again. I'm basically saying I'm only gonna have 4 dice for healing. That means I'm gonna have a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and nothing else. That might be good enough, actually. Yeah. We're gonna do that. All right, and then I know we talked about this a little bit, but the Arcanist is new. And after you defeat an enemy while in magic form, place a Crux token here, max of 3. Start each session with 1 already on it. So we got to put 1 on like so. And then you don't discard them. Like this one lets you put 1 on an active slot, and when you're dealt any amount of damage, you discard it. Then this one discards all of them. So these 2 cause you to lose them. This one lets you put it on a non-quest enemy. Damage from every combat skill die is increased by 1. Yeah, I guess a lot of these let you put Crux on things, or otherwise you don't really do much. So, and you get one every time you defeat an enemy while in magical form. So they're not that easy to get. I'm not sure how much I'm going to like this guy. Maybe I should have stuck with the healer one. Who knows? But there we go. We got everything dished out. We have our quest. Remember the knight, if we do 2 quests before the end of the first session, the knight will level up to master. The archer has to defeat an enemy that's 6 or more hexes away, which is actually pretty hard for him to do. His range right now is only 3. And then the ranger just needs to successfully complete encounters at unstable landmarks for 3 days in a row. Which, that I think we can do, because we want to get experience points, so we want to do that. Now, the only question was, did I want to get another quest, because that's what I need to do the night. And I also want to look at my quest again. It says we need to finish in 6 days. Does that mean session 1 ends in 6 days, or does that just mean that the first half of session 1? And that's what I'm going to check right now. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that happens before session 1 ends. In fact, we got to do our thing by session 6. Then there's another thing that happens. Or I'm sorry, by day 6. And then a third thing happens, and we have 12 days to do that. And then we have a fourth thing that happens after we finish the 12 days and do whatever was supposed to be done by 12 day. Then something else happens. And then after all that, finally, the session ends. So there's a lot of stuff that happens. But sometimes, like this thing where we have to be done by day 6, it's literally be done by day 6, and then we're moving on. And they literally give us another 12 days. But then, once we do that and we're done, then we're done. So, little different than Black March. I guess I'm happy for that. I forgot to look up, how much do we move on the overland? Our base movement is 3. And because we have the ranger, it becomes 4. So we got tons of movement here. So then the question just simply becomes, are we going to try to visit another town to get more skills and items? The items part I can definitely understand we want to get, but I want to get some experience if I can. It would have been nice to maybe get one more quest. Let me think about this. I took a quest and an item with my 2-hander. Nope. With my 1-hander. 2 items with my 2-hander. And a skill in the item with the others. It would have been nice to just have one more quest, but so we get to move 4 spaces. So do I try to do the 2? So I have to do. Well, actually, for the quest, I have to go to a peaceful landmark. For the ranger to become a master, I have to do 3 unstable encounters in a row. So that's different than a peaceful. And if we do a peaceful, we go to a town, we gain 1 experience point, and everybody gets an item. Yeah, that actually might be worth it. Let's do the peaceful, do a town, and then start. We're already on day 2. So if we do a peaceful, that takes us to day 3. Then we do a town, that takes us to day 4. Then we have day 5 to do something, and then day 6, we're going to have to hit the end. So I'm not going to be able to do upgrade the ranger to a master, at least not yet. Do I want to do that now, though? I could. So let's say we do that now. All right, I got to draw my card, first of all. So it's a blue card at the end of day 1. And on the back, you can see we got that little symbol there, which I believe is, it goes down by 1. It's already at 0, so that doesn't do us any good. Would have been nice to get that later. I'm just making sure. Nope, it increases unrest by 2. The one that looks like an eyeball makes it go down. So the unrest went up by 2, starting on day 2. All right, 1 second. All right, so I think I'm going to do the loafing around mission first. And somewhere in this big stack of cards is the meatloaf. And I don't know why I need to get the meatloaf out, to be honest with you. I'm just handing it back in. But it is a very large stack of cards. And somebody tell a joke. Any joke. Got a sweet roll, tarragon chicken. Ah, look at that. See that symbol? The little beast paw symbol? That was one of the skill sets thing. Interesting. That's a companion. That's a symbol for a companion. Interesting. That's what that meant. I don't know where the heck this meatloaf is. It's going to be the last thing I find, isn't it? I found meatballs, but no meatloaf. Chicken and biscuits, rabbit, snot pie. I missed it. I went through everything and I missed it. What kind of jerk am I? Sausage. Melon salad. There we go. I found the meatloaf. Discard this item, then gain 3 bonus hit points, or each adventure gains 1. It's actually a pretty decent item. Alright, so why am I grabbing the meatloaf? It's because I am going to go 1, 2, 3, and we're going to stop at Coglin Village and do a peaceful encounter. So here we go. Day 2. I will let you read. Bedraggled High Elf. Meet you. Blah, blah, blah. Could you spare a donation for a working magician? What do we do? So we can conjure up a deal for 1 experience point. Or if anyone deserves a donation, it's you, 1 experience point. So let's see. We can make a social check, party times 3, which is a 12. If successful, each adventurer may draw 1 item, remove all light fatigue from their cooldown track. The problem is, to do a social check, you have to spend tenacity, and we only have 3. So I don't have nearly enough. This one, which is red, we discard any number of items and then rolls that many d6 plus 2. We gain all the rewards up to the combined value of your rolls. This is unstable. Each adventurer must discard at least 2 items, if possible, if you're unstable. So we could discard some items, roll d6 plus 2, which I'm assuming means I'm rolling a minimum of 2 d6, and then I'm adding more. Not I'm rolling that many d6 and just adding 2 to the value. So I can freely train a skill die and a train skill line. If I get 25 or better, each adventurer does this. I gain an experience point for it. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Each adventurer is going to do it. All but 1 has something to discard. So we just got all this stupid food, right? So 1, 2, going to discard all 3 of our food items. So what that means is, let's start with the Nord. The Nord is not going to discard any items because he has a weapon and he wants to keep it because that's what gives him a special bonus. So he has to roll d6s. I just need to find them. we're going to roll 2 d6s. We got 2 more over here. So we're going to roll these 2. So the best I can hope for is a 12, which he's basically going to get no reward. I got an 11, which was an amazing roll, but you can see here, anything that's 12 or lower is remove all fatigue from your cooldown track. He had none. And he gets no reward, so he just doesn't get anything. But he gains an experience point. That's the good part. So now we'll go to our high elf. She discarded 1 item. That's 6, 7. That's a 9. And that's also a nothing burger. I'm starting to realize this is actually really hard to get anything. I should have discarded nothing and just taken the experience point. That's really what I should have done. Because the best I can get is an 18. And I'm not going to get 25 or more. 18 is going to get me 2 tenacity, which is not that great. So I'm actually going to keep my items. I should have done the math a little bit better. And I'm not even going to bother rolling because it doesn't matter what I roll. Nobody has any fatigue or anything. So the key thing though is we get an experience point and we get the meatloaf. Also, our symbol at the bottom is that the unrest goes up by 1. So it's now up to tenths. All right, so meatloaf is in hand. And everybody gains 1 experience point. So do we want to spend it right now? And the answer is probably yes, we do. So there's a lot of things I can buy. I can buy health. I can buy my first skill of my new skills there. So let's do that for the stealth one. So the shadow looks like it's using a green die. So there's 1 of these. That would remove light fatigue for everybody from your cooldown for every unit that has stealth on it. This heals me or gives me bonus hit points for each unit that has a stealth on it. Not necessarily the best thing to start the game with, but I do have the once per combat ability that lets me put 2 stealth on things. So I can gain 2 bonus health. Bonus health, of course, can go beyond my maximum. The other one that I can get let's see here. And there's 2 of these. So this one would let me gain a stealth status die. And I can use it to ignore defense on a target that I'm attacking, which is pretty cool. I think I'm going to take this one first. And this one is probably a good one to also have, but I only have 1 experience point. So we'll go ahead and take that one and move it back to 0. All right. With our magic user, we can take the, we took the illusion skill, which no, this one is if I took the, I think that's the armor. The illusion is more of a pink one. This one right here. There's only 1 level 1 illusion die. It's this one. So this lets me do the teleport. This one, it creates the illusion with the 1 hit point. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we come all the way across. Put that in there. The single hand sword guy. I can add a hit point. Actually, I think I will do that. We're going to add 1 health so he's up to 5. Put him back to 0. Grab a health chip. Done. And then we have the Argonian here. The only thing that he can do is also add a health point chip where he can save his points. I'm actually going to save the points with him. You know what? We could add a combat die if we wanted. I don't know if I want to restrict my stamina to just 4, although 4 is pretty good. I'm going to just save it for now. I don't have a plan for him yet. I could get the extra health, which never hurts. But I'm going to save it for now. Okay, so we're done. We got our meatloaf. That's day 2. We now move to day 3. Remember, at the end of the day, you could recover light fatigue and heal, which nobody's damaged, so it's not an issue. We do need to go to any town. During the next town encounter, if an adventurer has the meatloaf, resolve the following, and that's when we get another experience point. So we're going to go to a town, and we're on day 3. Remember, day 6, we have to be here. So we can go to any of these towns in range, or even back to the one we started, because with us being able to move 4 spaces, I can easily get to where I need to go. So I think it just boils down to which town is the best for us. Wayrest was really cool. We have Alcare Castle, Crosswitch, and Fells Run and Shornhelm. All of them are optional for us. So let's take a look at how, obviously the traveling caravan's not one of them. Alcare Castle has 4 common items, 4 trainers, and that's it. You do have the ability to gain 2 bonus hit points, which, of course, is again, it's additional hit points that stays with you. And if the unrest level is at peace, we'll gain an additional 2. That's not the case. Although, actually, it will be, because we're going to be able to lower it by 1 because we're going to succeed at a mission. All right, Camlorn is not one of them. Crosswitch is one. A lot of trainers. Yeah, no good there. Skipping Daggerfall, Evermore, Fells Run. 3 legendary at this one. Town Square is closed. So the difference here is I'm going to get legendary. Faerun Stronghold. Shornhelm's the only other one I'm looking at. North Point's a possible one. It's got a 3 and a 3. That's really good. At the end of the day, move the party token to Faerun Stronghold or Wayrest. Oh, that's a set sail thing. Shornhelm. Before populating trainers, subtract the number of trainers based on the unrest level. 3 and 1. You can do a lockpick check to steal from the shop. I think I like the castle the most, or going back to Wayrest. The castle at least had the bonus hit points. So you can just take that, get 2 bonus hit points, which helps you with whatever the next battle is going to be. Only 4 common items instead of legendary. That's the drawback. We said that the Crosswitch, I think, was the other one that was decent. No, it was the Fells Run, I think, had the. So this one has legendary items. Let's go here, because we can get legendary items at Fells Run. So we will make Fells Run. It says at the start of the encounter, if the unrest level is at 10s or higher, each adventurer must discard 1 item. We're at 10s right now. That's the reason why I don't want to go there. So I'm back to Alcair Castle again. Yeah. We're going to do that one. Because here we go. At the start of the encounter, the party may freely gain the Dark Forces of Greed side quest. Whatever that is. Let's go to Alcair Castle. All right. So let's find the side quest. Here it is. Travel to the southernmost conflict landmark. Initiate the following clash for that day's encounter. Add all this stuff. You may attempt to swindle the mage. These glyphs, I just don't care for them at all. But if it's 3 or more players, you have to conquer. It's just a nice, good old-fashioned battle. I'll take it. And then when I take a quest like that, I gain 3 tenacity with my knight. And remember, if there's any way we can spend that tenacity, right? There isn't, but this is what we're doing. So we gained a side quest. We're going to gain 3 tenacity. And so that puts him up to 5. All right, so let's do the rest of this town. So we get 4 common items. We got a nice mace. This one actually helps the Nord because it's a single-handed. For each 2 tenacity you have, add 1 enemy combat to this engage, and I can do that again and again and again. That is a fantastic one. The Nord's going to take it. And now he has 2 weapons in his inventory. And then we have just 1 cost of tenacity. For the rest of your turn, you may move through occupied hexes. When you would gain any amount of light fatigue, remove it from your cooldown track instead. 3 tenacity, remove 2 hit points from any companion and any 1 adventurer's ready slot. Okay, so those are the 3 items. First things first, we're gonna complete a quest, right? And when we complete a quest, we always get to move this down by 5 minus the number of adventures, which is 4. So that's 1. And hand this item back in. And everybody gets 1 experience point. So I just did this one, that one. And that one. All right. We do have 4 trainers, so let's get that going. That could dictate who grabs what. So there's 1, 2, 3. 4. All right, so this is one we already have. We already have this one as well. Those are both worthless. This one, heavy armor, I'm going to take, and I'm also going to take speech. I'm going to give speech to my sword and shield guy. And we will put it here with the stamina. And then we're going to take the heavy armor and we're going to put it there with the magic. Okay, so that's both of his actions are gone. That's one of his. The other one is he'll take a crappy item. And then for everybody else, they're going to at least take one crappy item, and they have one action left. We could do the guild kiosk and get the ledger domain, or not. I'm going to do the 2 bonus hit points for the, that would be our mage and our archer. And I know we haven't talked about this much in the last playthrough. I don't think we hit it at all, but with the bonus hit points, what you do is you put it on their thing, but you don't put it underneath their person. And so it's just, if they take damage, they remove it from their board before they would remove it from the person. So technically, anytime they take damage, you always check to see, do you have bonus hit points? If the answer is no, then you finally lose hit points. Okay, that's it. We got our 1 experience point. We go to the end of the day. We can rest, recover, which nobody has anything to recover from. We will be starting day 4, but we can spend our 1 experience point with everybody. And I'm just looking at my situation. Like I can, for example, I can grab another stealth die here for 1 experience point, and I'm going to do that. And I think I'm going to grab the other one, so I have at least a mix, right? 1 and 1. And then for the illusion, I can either grab a level 2 die, or I can grab another level 1 die. I will grab the level 2 die, because I don't think the level 1 die was all that great. The level 2 die, so you place this on a targetable enemy, the enemy's range, stat, and movement are reduced to 1. I think that can be really helpful. So get that up there. Remember, everybody else can't really do anything, but I can add hit points if I wanted to. Actually, no. I actually got a lot of stuff to spend it on, so sorry I'm moving the camera around so much. Down to 0. This one, we're going to grab a speech. Move him down to 0, give him a speech die. That's this. And I think this is the one we're using. There's several different level 1 speech dice, but let me make sure that's the one I want. Okay, so that's the one I grabbed. Combine the values of all intimidating presence. Roll this, engage. Remove an adjacent non-quest enemy with hit points equal to or less than the value from the total. So it could be any enemy. As long as you add up the numbers and it's more than their hit points, it just removes them. But it's not considered defeated. This one, choose an enemy with a level equal to or less than this value. So there's 2 sides here that are really high. But minimum, you can get rid of a level 1. You know, if you're lucky, you could get rid of a level 5. And there's 2 of those available. There's 3 of those available. Then authority, you may gain tenacity equal to or less than this value. This just gives you tenacity, which is nice because it's big numbers. The thing with this one is it gives you a lot of tenacity, which you might think, well, why do you need tenacity? Well, it's less about the tenacity. It's more about when you do a speech check, these numbers are the best numbers in the game. These numbers on your speech check are going to be either really high or low. And same here. So from a speech check perspective, these are going to help you in a speech check way more. But it doesn't like kill enemies. It's more of a, you just gain tenacity, which you can then use to kill enemies. That's a tough choice. So right now I've grabbed this one, which just removes hit points. I did like this because it does just flat out remove Or no, it says at the end of the round, this unit becomes an enemy again. Oh, I remember. We use this to actually mind control. You can basically, it's like a bard skill. You can mind control somebody, make them attack as if they're your companion, and then the enemies attack him as if... That was actually quite helpful. Assuming I rolled well enough to control them. Which is better? I can have 3 of those. These are all level 1 dice. Oh, there are no other dice. So you're either getting... You get 3, 2, and 3. That's it. Getting 3 dice is a lot. I think I like this. I'm going to do this one. It's what we used last time. It's a little swingy. But here's where my logic is. Here's where speech is. I only have 2 stamina, and I need a lot more than 2. I need at least to get to 4. Which means I have room for 2 speech dice. I could obviously put the speech up here, which then limits how many hit points I have. I think limiting my hit points is even worse. So I'm going to put that guy back and grab one of these mind control dice instead. And the idea is I'm going to just have 2 of them by the time I'm done. And then over here I have 2 experience points. So I got a little bit more freedom here. I can grab an armor die, or I can grab another one of these. And I'm going to do the 2-handed, because we haven't used him yet. So obviously we have the Wrecking Blow. We can have up to 6 of those, which is pretty amazing. Or I can get an Onslaught. I can deal 4 damage to my target, but then I gain a Bane status die, which is not good. Where I can, because Bane means at the start of every turn, I take a damage. And that's why I think I need the healing restoration guy, because he can remove status. So, yeah, what did I do? I took the illusion. Yeah, I might be in trouble, but yeah, start of every round, I just take 1 hit. I mean, I might be able to heal a little bit. I don't know. It's definitely, it's a risky die, that's for sure. I like this one so much more. I'm just looking at the level 3. Then with the level 4, there's 2 different level 4 dice. Well, no matter what, we got to get a level 2. So let's do that. If I want to get the better stuff. And yeah, I mean, I really could just go 6 level 1s. Who knows? Maybe that's the better way to play this. I'm trying to find the level 2. I don't see it. I see 3s and 4s. Here we go. There he is. All right, that costs 2 experience. All right, so I took the armor skill, but I didn't do anything with it yet. And yes, the loafing around is complete. Each adventure does draw 1 item when we do that. So let's do that right now. So we're going to start with the Nord. It's the Glyph of Weakening. The Ranger, Distillate of Invisibility. The Archer, Hoof Powder. and our mage the Void Steel Axe. So this helps the two-hander. It ignores one defense on your target. I am going to actually, as much as the Nord needs these, this actually helps our two-hander, and I am going to give this to him. I'm just going to trade an item. And we can do that during the Adventurer's Rest step, which is what we're doing right now. Okay, that gets us to the end of 3 days. Now we're on day 4. Let me just make sure I did this right. So day 1, we were in way rest. Day 2, we did a peaceful. And day 3, we're here. So we're on day 4. We have today, tomorrow, we can do 4 and 5 to do 2 things. And then 6, we got to go to the Doomcrag. So I'm thinking that day 5 needs to be some kind of rest. You know, at a town or whatever. Also, we got to... This increases the tension by 2. So now we're up to 4. So visiting the town sort of stinks in this particular High Rock. The towns with the unrest are annoying. We do have the Dark Forces of Greed. We can try to go do that. We have to go to the southernmost, which is here. This is the southernmost one. This one is not as far south. So we can go to the Atura Estate, which is a backtrack for day 4, but I got day 5 to move up and then day 6 to get to where we need to go. So we're doing fine there, especially with my +1 movement. So we could go down there and then we would do a battle to solve this other quest. If we do, then that means our knight's going to automatically go to master right off the bat. Everybody else I don't think can do much of anything. But that would be our first big time battle. And we would get 2 experience points for doing this. So I think it's worth doing. So it's 1, 2, 3, and we would do this battle right here. And I'm going to just go ahead and push this out of the way so we can make room for our tile. Which is going to be this guy right here. And we can line up the hexes a little bit so it doesn't cause OCD for some of you. And we need this is our adventure tile, starts over here, like so. All right, so that's where we would start. And I'm going to do that in the next video. So thanks for watching. I'm going to lay this on top to remind me that that's the mission I'm doing. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.